We thought we might need that just to wake everyone up on a Monday morning, so good job. That's what it's all about, guys. Thank you for coming today. We're really excited about sharing with you all the Marietta Training Ground project that we're developing at the moment. So it really is an exciting time for the club. But to start us off, the person I want to introduce is, it couldn't happen without him, without his vision and support, and that's Arthur Blank, owner of Atlanta United. Arthur, if you could please come up.
I love that. I really do. That's a great way to start my day. It really is. To get you guys here every day when we come in. It'll be great. Thank you. So I want to thanks Darren for welcoming me, and thank you everybody for being here. I couldn't be happier to see all of our supporters and our fans and everybody connected to soccer in Atlanta, as well as from the city of Marietta. And I'll have some nice things to say about the mayor and the city a little later, which are not part of my script, just kind of come from my heart. I'm also happy to introduce my fiancée, Angie Masuga, who's here today. And just a personal side note, my son, who's not here, is not feeling well, has had a year of internship with Atlanta United, and he's had a great experience. And Angie's son, Drew, is starting his internship this May. He's at UGA right now, and if it wasn't for Drew and Joshua, my son, we wouldn't be getting married this summer. They're our family connection. They were playing soccer together for a number of years, and so they really are responsible for us getting married, and for one of the reasons I love soccer as much as I do. Beyond that, I also want to acknowledge Angie's youngest daughter, Emily, who last night is graduating from Lassiter High School. She's a captain of their soccer team. She's going to Wofford on a soccer scholarship. My son's going to Elon on a soccer scholarship. And they won their regional championship 2 years in a row, which is the first time in their history. So tremendous credit to her. And so we have a soccer family. Any questions relating to soccer beyond the comments I'll make today, you can ask Angie or Drew or Joshua or Emily, and you'll get a really better answer than you'll get from me. So thank you, honey, for being here. I appreciate it. It's been almost 2 years to the day when we announced that we were bringing Major League Soccer to Atlanta. It was April 16th, 2014, that we made that announcement. We've come a long way since then. We've built a strong leadership team with Darren and Carlos and Ann. They're incredible. I think you'll hear from all of them today, or Darren will talk about all of them today for sure. Darren's background is incredible, and international soccer comes from EPL, where he ran the Tottenham Spurs, did a fabulous job. They have a fabulous facility there. Much of the learnings we've taken from that facility, and you'll see today in our training facility. Carlos is a former MLS player himself. He was captain of the U.S. men's national team for 6 seasons, including the 2010 World Cup, so it's an honor always to be with you. And Carlos played professionally for 15 years and probably could still play today if he chose to, but you've been a great addition to our team, and thank you. And Ann, who comes from a soccer background and a lacrosse background with Under Armour, she ran their program on a global basis, and she's bringing all of those credentials and tremendous passion, personal passion for soccer and for Atlanta to Atlanta United. So Darren will talk about those folks and other additions to the technical team very shortly. Last July, we announced our team branding before an MLS record crowd of 4,000. The commissioner was here, Don Garber. He was blown away by the response we got. We actually expected about 1,000 people. We ended up with something north of 4,000, along with all you folks. Give yourself one of these, yeah. So, and that really, I think, is typical of what we've seen in Atlanta since we've announced our involvement with soccer. The support we've gotten has been incredible. It was here before. I think we helped stoke the fires and develop them further, and we'll do so as time goes on. In October, we announced the formation of our Youth Academy program, and I guess the point I want to make here about that is that MLS has been a league now for 22 years, and this is the first time in its history where a MLS franchise has actually had a youth academy play before the professional team played. So we're thrilled about that. And again, Darren will talk a little bit about that. Carlos, you may later. I'm not sure if you're going to or is Darren, just Darren today. Okay. Well, the women want to see you. They don't want to see Darren. So, anyway, maybe you can ask Darren a question, Carlos a question or two. But it really speaks to our commitment to the youth. It speaks to our commitment to how we're going to build our franchise. So it's a very important signal, I think. We've gotten a lot of good input from all the local clubs. I think Darren and Carlos, in this case, have worked hard to try to coalesce the very best thinking in the Atlanta community around how to develop youth soccer and support it. So the interest in Atlanta United from a sales standpoint has been incredible. Every time we've told the league that we have over 10,000 founding members, which support close to 30,000 seats, they ask us to recheck our numbers to make sure they're right, because they've never seen that kind of launch before. So we're obviously very thrilled about that. Today we're going to take a first look at our world-class training facility that's being built in Steve's backyard. Not Steve Cannon, but Steve Tumlin, the mayor of Marietta. It'll be home to our academy players, home to our MLS team, and probably as importantly, and you'll see it's world-class in every sense of the word, but it'll also be home to our fans. This will be open to our fans. We're going to make sure that our practices are open, that our facilities are open, that the fans have an opportunity to experience and feel the game the way they love to feel it, and have a sense of that passion, that personal connection that we know is important to all the soccer community. So our aim is to make sure that Atlanta United, in every sense of the word, is the soccer capital for the Southeast, and in part really for the nation as well. So we have a short video which I'd like to share with you and give you some visual idea as to what the facility will look like. So can we get that to roll? Thank you.
Before the bright lights, the roaring of the crowd, there is a beginning. You learn the rules, what the game is all about. And there is a moment you first discover your love of the beautiful game. Then you realize you are playing for something bigger. So you train to become the best. You perfect your craft. You learn. You grow. You train harder. You become a champion. You inspire your city. You rep Atlanta on the world stage. The journey starts here.
Okay, so one of the things you can turn the lights back up, thank you. I really want to take a minute to thank Mayor Tumlin and City of Marietta and Cobb County. I've done business in Atlanta since 1978, opened up a lot of retail stores here, and just generally have done business here. And I will say this is not, I'm not being paid to say that Steve and I are not brothers. He's not, we don't look like family members, but it's really one of the interesting things that I've seen happen is that this is probably one of the foremost times when I've seen a city, community, a county step forward and actually do even more than they said they were going to do. Everything that the mayor and his council members and the city has said they were going to do, they've actually exceeded. They've been the easiest folks to work with in every sense of the word. This is a complex project on a great piece of property, and so I want to personally thank you, Mayor, you and your leadership team for not only being supportive, but being collaborative, cooperative, and creating a great public-private partnership. Before I sit down, I just want to make one comment. This is not a play on the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but the slogan of Mercedes-Benz, and Steve Cannon's here with us today, our CEO, is the best or nothing. So you have my ongoing commitment. You'll see this today in the training facility. We talk about the best or nothing. We mean in terms of staff, and you'll hear about that today, in terms of coaches, in terms of players, and in terms of facilities, which you'll see today. So we couldn't be happier to be here, more prideful to represent Atlanta and Atlanta soccer. And I want to thank you all for your support and your interest in every way that you've shown it. So with that, let me turn it over to Mayor Tumlin. Thank you.
This is an exciting day. It's the great project that's coming, what has transpired over the last year. Speaking with the city of Marietta, I got 3 of my councilmen with me today, the Cobb Chamber, Cobb County, the Chamber, President of Cobb County Chambers here today also. But I just want to say, 2 years ago when it was first announced that Atlanta was going to get a Major League Soccer franchise, we embraced that. We were excited, not knowing what might be coming down the road. And then a few months later, we got a call, and we were one of the ones, Marietta was one of the ones being considered for a spot. And we're excited. You know, our natural reaction, Darren, was, y'all come. That particular time, the first part didn't go as well, but we knew we were dealing with a first-class outfit, you know, trying to tell them the attributes of Cobb County and Marietta. But the people we dealt with were above board and forthright, and you knew they had an excitement and passion for not only for soccer, but whatever community, you know, they went into. But from there, Mr. Blank called me later, or we had mutual friends, and, you know, he said, y'all still might be under consideration, and I used the old cliche, y'all come back, you here. And so, you know, as things worked out, but the collaborative came from, as he talked about, our council built right into, we knew we had an opportunity to go with this, the Youth Academy, and we dedicated 14 acres we had to have a super quality product for soccer fields that are going to be first class that we would not have had otherwise. So, you know, the city of Marietta not only embraced them for coming, but joined them. But what I do want to point out, mayors and chambers and all look at the economic, obviously this is a big economic boost for our area. It was an area that was struggling, but what they brought to us is the personal connection. Cobb County, the city of Marietta is excited. It's fun to have a major league team, and we appreciate you coming. In fact, you have community, we now call it Franklin Gateway. It has become a community, if nothing else, just for this. I mean, we can have an office building with people like me that wear coats and ties, but bringing the heroes, you know, for this ball team just means so much to the children in our community. So it's that intangible that just makes Marietta and Cobb County so excited, and we've been blessed by having it, and our commitment, like yours, is a lifetime. You're ours now. We'll let y'all call it Atlanta, but north of the river, we're going to call it the Marietta United. But like I say, we're delighted, and y'all are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to echo Arthur's comments. The city of Marietta and Cobb County have been wonderful to deal with. The speed that we've made and progress already is testament to their guys' support. So we're really thankful for what you've done. So as Arthur mentioned, we've had a busy year, 10 months to go. That sort of keeps me up at night now, 10 months till our very first game in Major League Soccer. But this training ground is an important milestone for us. We're going to have many milestones in the coming 10 months, but this is an integral part for us to lay the foundation for our club. Now, we've already got the dirt moving at the training ground, and we're making swift progress. The plan is for the building to be completed by April 2017, but the fields are going to be ready by January 17. So the plan will be for our first team in the academy to be able to start training there in the new year, which is really exciting. And it's going to be a world-class, state-of-the-art facility. Now, those are words that are easily tossed out there, but I think from my background and from Carlos's as well, we've done a lot of traveling over the last 6 months, and I think it's fair to say in the facilities we've seen, and you'll see it soon now when I go through the renderings, this is a facility that's going to be equal to any in the world. We've taken some learnings from my experience in the EPL, but also from Carlos's time playing at various clubs, and you'll see some of those key features that we've put into this facility when we go through the renderings now. And it's important for us to have that world-class training ground. It's significant for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's testament to Arthur and what our club's vision is for this being a world-class club. And as Arthur said, the best or nothing. We want this to be a facility where the players and the coaches know that they've got every chance to be the best they can. They're not allowed to just, they can't have the excuse that they don't have the facilities. We're going to have a facility that rivals everything anything in MLS, so they're going to have no excuses. Secondly, it's really important to us because we get credibility and visibility in global soccer. Soccer's a world game. This is a facility that when teams come to play at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, they'll be able to train here. That'll be international teams, whether it be Mexico or the United States. Perhaps it's club teams, perhaps it's Manchester United or Barcelona coming to play a friendly game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They're going to have a facility that they can feel comfortable in training, and that's going to help us get the visibility of Atlanta United, the city of Marietta, and Atlanta on the global scale. Then the other big factor, and Arthur touched upon this, is our commitment to youth development. This training ground is going to be a key area where our young players are going to develop to become, hopefully, world-class talent playing for Atlanta United. So for starters, we have the academy team training with the first team. So there was never any doubt in our minds that we would have the academy with our first team. It's vital to us that we have an academy that is considered front and center of the club. So what that means is our players are going to hopefully get that chance to see their heroes training. They're going to get to use the same facilities, and we'll have a look in a moment at some of those facilities. But that's front and center to our club and the whole ethos behind Atlanta United. We're really excited about the academy. We're going to start the launch very soon. We're going to be playing in the summer. And in that respect, we've got some new guys that I just want to talk about. Now, I don't know if you heard the voiceover to the video, but you might have recognized the distinguished English accent. That was actually Richard Money, who's our new academy director. I've got to admit, my nose was a little put out of joint because I thought I was the authoritative English voice on soccer that was always going to be used on the voiceover. So I suppose competition is good, and that's what it's all about. So I'm going to have to raise my game a little to make sure I wrestle that back from Richard. But joking aside, Richard is, we're really fortunate to have him and Tony Annan, who's going to be the academy manager, on board with the club. Richard's background is very extensive, both as a player, he's also a head coach, and also as an academy director. So as a player, Richard played for Liverpool FC. He actually won a European Cup medal in 1981 when Liverpool beat Real Madrid. And for those of you guys who are a little bit younger in the room, or perhaps you're new to soccer, Liverpool's a little bit like Dallas Cowboys in NFL. They used to be really, really bloody good, but it was a long time ago. So Richard was a player, won a medal with them. He then has been a head coach in a variety of different countries. He coached in the A-League in Australia when that started up, through to Sweden for a top team there, as well as in England. But he's also had experience as an academy director. So he was an academy director at a number of Premier League clubs. One of them was Aston Villa, so I probably ought to say that pretty quickly because obviously they're not going to be a Premier League club for much longer. But he was with Aston Villa and with Newcastle. So what Richard brings with him is that on all aspects, he knows what it takes to be a top player playing professionally. He knows about the pathways. And academy development is all about pathways. You can have the best coaches, the best facilities, but if there's not a pathway for that player to get into the first team, if they don't get opportunities, it's all for nothing. So Richard brings us that experience across the whole board. And then alongside him, we've got Tony Annan. Now, Tony's been in the Atlanta area for over 20 years. He was one of the founding partners of Georgia United, one of the developmental academies in the area. He's also done scouting and coaching with United Soccer Federation. So we're really fortunate to have those two guys together to build Atlanta United. And Carlos and I are talking a lot at the moment about players for our team, and you'll hear us talk about this in the future, I'm sure. But as we're putting together a team, we want to have partnerships across the pitch. You need to have a good centre-half partnership between your right-back and a right midfielder. And I think the strengths that both Richard and Tony bring to each other make them a great complement, and we're really excited about having them to lead our academy. So without further ado, I thought we'd go through some of the renderings, and I'll have them shown up here on the slide through Brian, and we'll just talk a little bit through them. If I get my pointer to work, yeah, there we go. So firstly, I'll just take a quick sip. This just gives us a view of the overall site. Now, firstly, 32 acres. My stat man tells me that's 50% bigger than Centennial Olympic Park, which I thought would be more interesting than the fact I was going to say, which is about the same size as Green Park in London, but you could probably identify more with the Centennial Olympic Park. So this is, it's going to be a wooded area. I mean, this was one of the amazing things about it. As a site, it's really beautiful. When you actually go there now, at the moment, it's obviously all just dirt, but the trees that are there, the natural topography. So we're trying to create a sort of, almost like a state park feel as you come in. So there's a winding drive here as you come in and you enter towards the building. So we're going to have 6 fields. So you can see these 2 here are both grass. These are the first team training pitches. This pitch here will be our show pitch. We'll have a little bit more of a chat about that later, but that's actually sunk into the ground like a natural amphitheatre. We have a 4th field up there, and these 2 fields here, which are turf as well. So it will be 3 grass fields and 3 turf fields. Now we've also got, oops, sorry, if I could just go back, Brian, 1 second. We've also got an area here, which is a goalkeeper training area. So this is because our goalkeepers need to have an area where they basically cut the ground up quite a lot, so we don't want them on our main pitches. Now, Carlos and I were quite smug about this. We thought, what a clever use of some space that we had there. And then we recently went to Barcelona's training ground and found they had exactly the same thing. So I'd like to say they copied us, but to be fair, they'd already got theirs built. But that's just a little bit. And, you know, it's those little touches that we need to have to make ours the best we can. Then finally, this probably gives us the best idea of there's a space here for future expansion. Now, it might sound a bit crazy that I'm sitting here talking to you already about future expansion, but this was important that we were forward-thinking because, you know, the reality is the growth of the game of soccer. We know at the academy level there'll be an increasing pressure for us to go to the number of levels that you would have in the rest of the world, so we needed to have that footprint to be able to grow. Also, if we have a development team, it gives us the opportunity for them to train with us on the same site. And then finally, the renderings, a great job were done by TVS. And you guys will be able to see this on our websites and have a zoom in closer. But just to orientate you, this is I-75 here, and this is the Franklin Gateway here. Now, if you look closely, you'd be surprised to think that's I-75 because there's only about 10 cars on there. So to be fair, I think it looks more like a picture from The Walking Dead of Atlanta rather than the realities. But hey, you know, artistic license. So if we can go to the next slide. This shows the entryway now. So you've driven around up the main entrance, and this shows you as you come towards the main facility. Now, the facility is going to be 30,000 square feet. We've got an area here which we're going to have an art piece on, which will be revealed at a later date. We're really excited about that, so a piece of art that will go in front of the building. So just to give you a sense here, these are the 2 pitches where our first team will be training. And here's the main entrance. So it's a double-height lobby, atrium. And in a moment, I'll go on to show you what it looks like to the pitches. But this is important because this is where the first team, staff, everybody comes in through this door. And again, this is something that Carlos and I have spoken about. Carlos, in his time playing with teams like Rangers, Fulham, we want to have a family feel at the club. We want this to feel like everybody's club. So we didn't want to have a separate entrance for the first team. The idea is that they all come through the same entrance. And that was an important part of the whole philosophy of the training ground. So if we go on to the next picture, this now shows the lobby entrance as you've walked in through main reception. So again, you can see this double height here with views onto the pitch, and then there's an entryway to go onto the pitches. Now, this was something that was really important to me and dear to my heart. The whole way through this building, the whole focus is on the pitches. Because at the end of the day, we've talked about the facility. It's all about what we do on the pitch, and we want to have the best team possible on the field to represent Atlanta and to do, you know, to be competitive in the league. So the whole way through the building, you've got views to the pitches, so you have that connection to the fields. Secondly, here you can see on the left, this is our tactics room, and again, this is something that we just learned from various facilities we visited. I talked about Dallas Cowboys earlier. We went to see their new facility they're building. And they've done a great job of multi-use of their tactics room because traditionally our guys will use it before a practice, perhaps for an hour when it's the day before a match day game. And our academy will use it in the evening, but the rest of the time it's going to sit empty. So we've tried to create a flexible space. So these doors, there's not shown at the moment, the doors can come here to shut it off. But then we can open it up as a multi-use area. And this is multi-use not only for our first team, for the academy, for our corporate partners, for the community events, but also for our fans. Because as Arthur said, we're trying to build a facility here that can give the fans that connection to the team. And those who are eagle can see a little MLS Cup there in the trophy cabinet on the corner, so hopefully sooner rather than later we'll get that in there. Next, we've got a view, if I can just show it from, this is from the southwest. So again, a wonderful building, but let me just give you a few of the features. Firstly, you can see there's a heck of a lot of glass there. Again, that goes to this point that wherever you are in the building, you've got a connection with the fields. We've also got some outdoor-indoor space here for the staff to be able to work, and that matches, we'll come onto it a little bit, with our gym over here. So this idea of a flexible indoor-outdoor space. The other feature here is on this side of the building, this is where all of our coaches for both the academy, the first team, and our front office will all be based. So this was another important feature of the club. We want to have everybody in together. We don't want silos where the academy is separate from the first team, the front office are separate from everybody else. So if I use the example of academy and first team, those guys are going to be based here. And the idea is that they're all going to connect and they're going to share best practice. Also, if we've got a lad who's playing for the under-18s who's coming on, doing really well, Richard might be saying to the first team coach, look, you know, this is a guy we've got to give a chance to soon. It's all about creating these pathways and trying to increase the communication. Then we have the lobby area here, which we spoke about, and then it goes on to the rest of the building here. And quickly, just let me talk about the less glamorous side of the training ground. We've seen the renderings here, and it looks first class, it will be first class. But the importance of a training ground is actually the flow of the building and what goes on there. It's no use having this brilliant building from the outside if actually internally it doesn't work and the flow's not right. And this is something that I took from my time at Spurs, again, Carlos's experience with the clubs he's played for. And we spent a lot of time looking at the player journey, so of a first-team player, going from the locker room to the physio room to get taped up, to go to the gym to do his pre-activation, to go to the fields to go and do your training, to then come back to the hydrotherapy when you're doing your warm-down session. So all of this has been mapped out with that idea in play. We can go on to the next slide. This shows our dining room upstairs. So again, this is somewhere that we have very flexible space. So obviously, first team will dine here, pre and post-match for training. It's an occasion for our academy players. If they have a match day, we've got a room to be able to use to feed them. But also, this is an event space that we can use for our supporters and for community events. And just think the cracking views you get from this lobby area here and then out onto the balcony. This is overlooking directly the first team fields. So you've got that real intimate atmosphere where you can see what's going on in training. Again, a great flexible space for us to use for a number of events. And also, if you could just see at the end here, that's towards the gym. And we'll come on to that, but you get a view out towards the gym. The final piece I want to point out is this, just a little area here you can get a glimpse of with the red and sort of gold shiny markings. This is the external part of the first team locker room. And in a moment, I'm going to show you the inside, but this is part of the philosophy of the building. Right at the heart of it, we've got the first team locker rooms, because that's the aim for all of our academy players. We want them to aspire to be able to get to that first team. So perhaps we can go on to the next picture and I'll show you the indoor locker room. So again, there's a number of features here. This will be, honestly, one of the best locker rooms in all of world football, because traditionally, you bury the locker room in the building. You don't have natural light. I think back to my time at Spurs, it's a great locker room, but there's no light, no natural light. So we have natural light here because it's double-heighted. Secondly, you'll see that it's a circle in shape, and that's for a purpose. That's so that there's no corners or cliques developing. It means that everybody's in this together. We're all one club. But again, I spoke about it earlier. This is the heartbeat of the changing room. It's the heartbeat of the training ground. So similar to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium being the heart of downtown Atlanta, we've put our locker room here right at the heart of the training ground. So our youngsters from the academy wing, they'll start in the under-12 changing rooms, very basic. Go to the under-14s, might get a little bit snazzier. As they go to 16s to 18s, it gets better and better. But the idea and the whole focus is this is where they want to end up. And this is what both externally and internally is driving them to be a top player. So if we go on to the next slide, this is now showing a view across from the show pitch to the main facility there. And this is really exciting. I spoke about the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This field here is exactly the same dimensions and surface as we'll have at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So this will be the pitch that we use as a natural amphitheatre. We can actually put stands here. We're not showing them yet, but we'll have the ability to put stands in here and here. And this will be the pitch that we use for our open training sessions. So Arthur talked earlier. We can have these open training sessions, invite all our fans in. This will be the place that we host it. This is also where our academy teams will play their matches. So again, we wanted to create an environment, Carlos and I, and Richard, who's come on board. where when they have game days, they're playing in an environment that feels like a stadium. So you can't quite see it out of shot here, but there'll be a scoreboard just like you'd have at a main stadium. And this will be the game on a weekend when the young players, the under-12s, the under-13s, right up to the 18s, know it's game day and get that feeling of, they're following in the footsteps of the first-team players.
Special thanks to Darren. That was a great presentation. I learned a lot, again, as always do with you. Thank you so much, Darren. I haven't seen him quite that excited since the birth of his twins, which is a little over a year ago. So fabulous, wonderful presentation.
You'd have been pleased after. I was very excited Saturday. Went to Piedmont Park, and so James and Edmund are my two boys. They're just over 1 year old, but they both started kicking a soccer ball for the first time. Good. So I told Carlos they'll be prepared to play for minimum salary.
Well, in the fall, we'll give them an American football as well. We'll give them both. Great. So I'm sure about 95% of the questions are for Darren, so shoot away. IJ?
Darren, to have a training facility like this, then move to a place like a Mercedes-Benz Stadium, as a club president, how much is that going to help you build the team? Does it help you, put the team together, make it, to be able to be competitive faster? I mean, how big of a deal is that to some of these big soccer players?
IJ, it's a huge deal. I mean, you'd have to be made of stone not to be impressed by both the training facility and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So let me just quickly talk. I mean, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, as a facility, I think I've said this before. I've played in a number of stadiums as a player at the EPL, going to stadiums. I mean, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is going to be one of the best soccer stadiums in the world. The fact that there was the vision of Arthur to make it soccer specific, so the fact that we can move the seats back so that we can have a full-size pitch, but also the fans feel engaged and really close to the pitch. The ability for us to use the curtains at the top level to make it feel like an intimate atmosphere and feel like Atlanta United's home, that gives us an unbelievable asset when we're going out recruiting. And I think it's twofold, IJ. It's one, those players that are playing in America already. So we're in a salary cap environment. Players in America are going to see the training ground, see the locker room that you've got there, see the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and think, wow, that's a club that I want to play for. But also when we're going internationally and we're trying to sell the vision of Major League Soccer and Atlanta as a city, it gives Carlos and myself two really good arrows in our quiver to be able to say to the guys, look, this is the place to be for soccer. So, I'm really excited about it. And, I think this is genuinely going to be a real help for us when we're recruiting internationally.
For Mr. Blank, what did you learn in the construction of the Falcons complex that you were able to apply to this? And was there anything specifically you wanted to see in this building?
Well, I think the philosophy that I mentioned earlier, which had really nothing to do with Mercedes-Benz, the way we drive all of our businesses, which is, the best or nothing. And that culture is ingrained in all of our operating businesses and our foundation as well. We really wanted to be really good listeners. In that case, listen to Darren, listen to Carlos, listen to Ann, listen to other staff members, and making sure that we had a facilities, as Darren, beautifully described, that was not only exteriorly attractive, but really functioned well and was attractive to coaches, to players, and to our youth academy as well. Because at the end of the day, these players and coaches, frankly, have lots of options all over the world, places to coach, places to play, places to facilitate. So how we design our facilities and the environment that we create for them, which says that we listen and we respond to them, we're paying attention to what the needs are that they need for the coaching and playing and to maximize their abilities, is a reflection, I think, on our culture. And so I think that's the joy that I've seen in this process, is that we've really been good listeners. We've had the great leadership here with years of worldwide experience and really applied it. And I think what you see here is a result of that.
And perhaps I can just follow on to that, Doug. I think, I spoke about it earlier, but Spencer Treadwell and his team at the Falcons, they did a great job for us as we were designing this on all sorts of things from the back of house. Again, I talked about the flow of the building. They were able to bring American football is a different sport, but they have the same issues and the same technical problems. So they were brilliant in terms of looking at the design, working with us as a team, and we're all putting in our little insight. So it was a great team effort.
Hey, what was the timetable for putting the land purchase, the deal together, and as far as the timetable goes moving forward with expansion, and actually when will this thing actually open, and will it open in phases?
Yeah, so the plan is that the building itself should be completed by April 2017, but in terms of stages, the pitches will be ready by January 2017. So at the moment, that will be the plan for our academy and first team to be able to train there from the new year onwards.
Patricio Montalvetti from Don Balon, USA. Beautiful facilities, been a year, wonderful, everybody's very happy. The team that you have is great, you, Carlos, and... But what about the boss? When you're gonna call the boss?
Yeah, so if I had a penny for every time I was asked that question. So I mean, in terms
is the
head coach.
head coach. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of head coach, the other boss. We
Dan Quinn would say too.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've always said that we're looking at sort of late summertime to early fall in terms of naming a head coach. Again, we're dealing in a situation where we're in a world game and there's different timings for different leagues. But I think, as far as we're concerned, we're looking at that sort of late summer, early autumn as a time to announce our head coach.
And I will tell you, I know nothing more than that, honestly. That's it. I'll ask him periodically. You got to be having conversations, and I get the same answer.
Hey, I just wanted to ask a question about sharing of resources between you and the Falcons, maybe on physio, sports, rehab, that kind of stuff. How are you going to be sharing resources with the NFL team?
Yeah, I mean, so on the sharing of resources, there's certain levels that I've spoken of that we'll definitely use resources. Something like the medical will be our self-contained unit here, just for the soccer. So that'll be an area where we don't share the resources, but certainly at a sort of higher level, it's something that we will obviously discuss when we're doing our deal on who our medical providers will be, that we can share resources across there. I mean, just another shout out, I want to just say a big thanks to the Falcons. Let me give an example. We have a draft for players, a college draft, which is something that I have no experience of from England. It's an unusual process to have in soccer, frankly. And last year, Dan Quinn was very kind to let me sit in his draft room whilst they went through the draft. Because, again, although it's a different sport, the whole dynamics of how you go about a draft, players that you've decided upon, if they suddenly get picked, that whole game theory about how you decide on who your alternative targets may be, he allowed me to do that. So, again, I think it speaks volumes to the synergies and the support that we have across the businesses, which is going to make us hopefully as successful as we can be.
Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about the impact that it'll have on Franklin Road. I know that area, having lived here for a long time, is an area that y'all wanted to improve for a long time. So talk a little bit about that impact and the economic impact on just the county and Marietta in general.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sitting next to you is one of our directors of Yale's. But it's amazing impact. We focus on that. We passed a bond issue in 2013 to enhance this. And then just funny how things just all come together. But the economic benefit is already showing. Property values, the people that come out there and invest in this community are coming. But I think the byproduct we did not see was what a catalyst this has been for creating a community. It was basically a community that might not have been in the mainstream, but now we call it Franklin Gateway. It's a gateway just to opportunity. So it's both economic and from the human side. So we're excited. And kids of all economic levels, whether they go to Lassiter or they go to Harrison on our west side or Mount Perrin or Walker, but children of all economic levels have bought into the enthusiasm of this. So from the community side, this has just been a great boost.
Two questions, one from Mr. Blank and one from Mr. Eels. Is Mercedes-Benz still scheduled to open in June of 2017? Okay.
Go ahead. You good.
And the second for Mr. Eels, can you elaborate on the MLS preseason training camp schedule for the team?
We're still scheduled for June 1st. That's the approximate date. We have a lot of work there to be done. We plan at this point in playing a number of games away and then playing our full schedule at home. That's normal, actually, for MLS. Probably the last dozen teams that have expanded in the league, that's been the case. In some cases, they've played a full season away or in another facility. We don't expect that to be the case. Mr. Darden is here, who was mentioned before, and if you want a full report on the stadium, we'll get Bill up on his feet and talk for an hour. But we're working hard. We got several thousand folks down there working every single day, 6-7 days a week, pretty much from 6 a.m. until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and making really great progress. The weather this spring has been good. Steel's going up on a timely basis, so we feel good about where we are right now. But there's a lot of work to be done in a relatively short period of time.
And Doug, in answer to your question on preseason, that's something that Carlos and I were still looking at. Obviously, there tends to be two schools of thoughts, either a tournament in Arizona or down in Florida, where teams tend to go for a training camp. So that's something we're looking at now, and we'll sort of plan over the next coming months.
Is Richard here? Is Richard here? Where's Richard? Can you tell us a little bit, not only for the benefit of the group, but for my own benefit, tell us how we're going to field all these youth academy teams without having a facility open this summer?
Yeah, we had our first ID sessions over the weekend, which were very encouraging. And we start in August. We're going to be using some temporary facilities very close to the training ground until January, and then in January we'll obviously move our teams onto the pitches. So yeah, we have some challenges ahead, that's for sure. Going through our process at the minute with coaches, very close to being able to announce who they may be. And initially we'll be housed in trailers up at the training ground until the facility is fixed and ready for us to move into. So yeah, we're very excited, and we'll be. I'm sure that we'll be able to deal with the challenges that are in front of us in the short term.
Maybe a question for you and Tony connected to that. How do you go about recruiting the players?
Yeah,
scouting and recruiting the players.
I've been able to. Well, a number of us have been able to see quite a number of young games, U12, U13, U14, around the city for the past few weeks. We invited some players from the higher levels of youth soccer to our ID sessions this last weekend. We had probably around about 100 in each age group, 2002, 2003 and 2004. And from that group we will narrow it down to a smaller group of maybe 40 that we'll invite back in May, and then select our first squads from there. But going forward, we want that process to be far more wide-reaching. We're under a bit of a timescale this first year. I think our job is twofold. Darren talks about pathways at the top end, and that's true. But for me, a major part of my role is going to be to create those pathways at the bottom end. So it means, a full program for youth organisations around the city that we want to be able to influence, we want to be able to develop, we want to be able to raise the bar and help them create more players just for themselves, but also for Atlanta United going forward. So it's a two-pronged attack, really. At the top end, we're looking for those that we think have potential in the short term, and at the bottom end, it's those that we think we have potential to take through the pathway, but also to create a bigger base of young players that we think may have the opportunity for Atlanta in the future.
The reason he did the video is because I can understand him, and sometimes I have to listen to you twice. So thank you, Richard. It's great. You want to introduce any of your other staff that's here?
Yeah,
have them just stand up for a minute, get a little recognition.
Could you give us an update on the status of, I guess, season ticket purchases, maybe what that conversion rate from deposits to actual season ticket sales have been, and what the sales look like outside of the state of Georgia?
Yeah, I mean, basically we've got our season ticket deposits and we're starting that process now of turning them into season ticket holders, and we've had a brilliant response. I'm not going to give figures or numbers, but what's been incredible for me is my update is usually that, I'm sorry someone's moved out the area. That's why they haven't bought a ticket. That's the level of interest we've got. So, we're really excited about that. But what we are doing is we're taking our time. So we're calling every founding member in order of when they signed up, and they have a specific person that they talk to, so they can chat through where they might want to sit in the stadium, because what we want to do is obviously make sure everyone's in the best seat possible for them. And for one person, that might be in the rowdy general admission section with our supporters, where the understanding is if they go there, they're going to sing and chant and stand up and create noise. It might be that they want to go in the family area. So we're trying to do a very tailored approach as we do this. So we're excited with the way it's going, and we're going to keep doing that methodically as we go through to the summer.
You want to, can you introduce your staff that's here? Have them stand up for a minute.
Yeah, quickly, if I could just have the guys stand up. So we've got Richard Money, our Academy Director, Tony Annan, who's the new Academy Manager, Jorge Alvial, who's our Chief Scout. I'll do Atlanta United. Anne Rodriguez at the frontier as our VP of Business Ops. We've got, obviously, Carlos Bocanegra, Technical Director. I see Lucy there, who's done something to her arm. Lucy Rushton, who's our Technical Scout. I'll have to chat about that later. Andy, who's our new guy that we've brought in from DC United, so the first of many steals from other clubs. So we're pleased to have him on board. I'm trying to think who else is in the room. Skate at the back, if you could just wave. Skate Nossinger, our Director of Marketing.
Skate. She actually put this whole program together along with Elena. So special thanks.
Perhaps a big thanks to everyone. Yeah, ticket team. So I've just saw them. You should be selling tickets. What are you doing here? If those guys could stand up as they rush back to the phones. Guys, if you could just stand up, and just want to thank them. They've done a great job. Seriously, though, back you go now. No. But, thanks to guys. I mean, we've got a team here. You can see from the people that stand up. We're very proud that we've got a diverse team, of people in our front office staff. We think it's fair to... Oops. Skate's pointing. And first day, yeah, so I haven't even officially met. So Mikey, our new guy there filming, so good to see you. We'll have a chat in a moment. But we're really proud with the diverse team we're bringing together here.
Growth. This is growth when you meet your associates at a press conference. That's what happens, yeah.
But it's a phenomenal team we're putting together off the field, and we're really excited now about building that team on the field to make a team that you guys in the corner can be proud of when you come to the games. And this training ground we saw today is an important first step in that process. So thanks again for all coming today. And Skate, we're going to ask the supporters to sign in the corner. This is our logo. You can see here it's quite little in the corner. On the back there, we've got an area for you guys to sign, and this will be somewhere where, at key milestones throughout our journey to our first game of the season, we're going to bring this badge out and ask people to sign it, and it'll be a memento for us as we take that journey. So, Arthur, we'd like you to be the first signature on that, if you could do that, and then we'll get our fans to join in and sign that. And then, in the meantime, we're going to take these chairs away, and then we'll do some photos. But thanks again for everyone coming, and good to see you all here. Cheers.